Greetings everyone, welcome back to Early Morning Dawncasters here on Game Double Tap. We'll be playing the Seeker. It's kind of easy grind, but not quite easy grind. A little bit more noisy than that. But yeah, we're playing the Seeker. We've pretty much maxed out our Seeker, and we've been going through the progression, so this is more of a progression build. So this might either be on Sunday, where the creatures of night have fallen asleep and the heroes of dawn have risen to again once stand between Umbrus and the Shattered Realm, or this could be TCG Thursdays, where we experiment with different deck ideas and go through all of the motions of understanding new cards. Either way, thank you very much for joining me here on Game Double Tap, the channel that describes absolutely everything. Thank you to My Noise for the beautiful sound effects. I've combined Dungeon Without the Dragon and Distant Thunder. These are some of the really cool things you can do with My Noise. You can find a link to them in my description, as well as to Rick Vander Wild's magnificent piece of Resistance Dawncaster, which you can also find in my description. Also, swing by my Discord community, which is awesome and working perfectly well. Thank you so much to all my moderators and for my big assist by the folks who keep my Discord running great. I can't do this without you, mates. Thank you so much. This morning, just finished talking to Queen Angel. We had our morning chit chat, as you know, we do every day. And I made myself a nice bagel and lox, cream cheese. Absolutely delicious. I just have this cravings for salmon right now and cream cheese and bagels. So when I get on a bagel and cream cheese and salmon kind of thing, like a lox kick, I have to just make it every day until I'm tired of it. And I have enough to make it maybe 4 or 5 more days until I run out of bagels. But oh my God, Queen Angel got me just such good bagels. Maris got me these plain bagels, but they're so juicy and tasty. And the salmon was relatively inexpensive. I was actually really surprised. I think I paid $8 for the salmon, and it's a good amount, and it tastes good. So yeah, I just got groceries, so I'm extremely happy. So yeah, the campsite is looking much better. We actually caught some fish, we made some bread, so we feel like a very rich adventurer right now, and we feel very loved. Our cup feels full. And as I know, folks, and you know, it's really good when your cup feels full. Anyway, it is morning here in Midtown Sacramento in the Shattered Realms. We are definitely ready to do our early record today. It's around 7 a.m., though you may be watching this any time of the day, whether it's easy grind, where it's all about relaxation, or it's a little bit more hyper and we're having a good time. But yes, it's Thursday, it's early morning, it's hot here in Midtown Sacramento and in the Shattered Realms. We've been hitting 100-degree plus weather. It's been something else. Yes, indeed. All right, I'm going to show you my deck. So for those of you not interested in my deck and what I'm kind of doing, go ahead and fast forward about 20 minutes. This is going to take a minute to explain. We're going set in for a good amount of time, so sit back, relax, put in your easy grind sweatpants, and get ready to learn something about the advanced level Seeker. Here we go. Cue the intro, if I don't forget to say that.
Letterboards. Run history and the weekly challenge. Bounties. Daily start a new game. Rewards and progression. Visit our store. Continue. Press to continue.
All right, welcome back. Intro should be
Press to
complete.
continue.
Let's roll. All right, we have gotten into this really weird realm, which is in one of the expansions. It's interesting. So far, the monsters have been reasonable. They have a lot of hit points. Like some of them have 160 hit points. And yeah, but we have a very powerful Seeker build. My Seeker is level 42. I will try to remember to let you guys know the description
Godskar waste
of my
once a stage for
Seeker,
a great battle. This
because
place now
Rick
harbors
has
unspeakable
made
horrors that feed on the remains of fallen crusaders and demons alike.
these descriptions available for those of you who are using voiceover. So we're in the Godskar waste. It's interesting. It's like a giant graveyard. There's a lot of story here, so I will go through the whole Godskar waste on a separate episode. You're going to get a little bit of it today, but I will try to do the entire Godskar waste from beginning to end. Hopefully, that will take almost 3 hours. These are not quick adventures for the most part. The expansions are harder, so those of you who are new to the game and who have gotten the expansion packs, realize that if you're trying to build up fate shards, stick to the core until you get a character who is really OP, and then maybe that's a good time to take on maybe one or two of the expansion packs. But you gotta be careful. I mean, buy the expansion packs, of course, but if you're gonna guide your character through the expansion, realize that the expansions are much harder. There are enemies that have your number and they will take you down. But that's what we want, right? I've actually let the Seeker take on a couple of expansions through this adventure. However, we stuck to the core for the most part. But it's really good to go through some of the expansions, like the Heroes Graveyard is really fun. It's good to go through the Plains of Rabinia. That's a fun actual adventure. The Weeping Woods was, of course, a classic part of the game and core, which is really fun. But yeah, it's really fun to take on some of the expansions. They're exciting.
Use weapon power triangle.
All right, let's
use your
check
weapon
out
power to return
my
to your
deck.
maximum health.
It is a very beefy deck. It's quite robust. All right. I might as well cover some of the things that are obvious. I chose a ability that brings me back to my maximum health. That means that I don't have to struggle for potions, and I can save my money for other things. I also got a really awesome talent that gave me like 600 gold. It was like, whoa. And I've done extensive modifications with my talents.
Player gold 665.
We're going to check all those out too as well.
Player health 99.
Let's check out my deck, and I'll explain to you a little bit of what each card does.
Show deck. Current cards in deck 27.
As you can hear, I have a ton of money. My health is quite
Player
high.
show
It's
deck.
going to be,
Current cards in
I
deck.
think my max is
Neutral
125.
Inflict 13 doom. Increase the effect of your aura of entropy by 1 utility. Monster.
27
doom.
cards
At
in
the
the
end of
deck,
turn.
and I've
Take
been
1 damage for
working
each stack of
really
doom.
hard
Decrease doom by 1
to
each time an
pare
action is
that
played.
down.
Reaping. Reaping lowers the target's maximum health equal to the damage it deals. Aura of entropy. Start of turn. Reap enchantment stacks. Anima.
Okay, there are some new cards coming in. Anima is new to me. This is my first time, I do believe, going through the Godskar Waste. I've never encountered Anima before. It's still a new concept to me in play mechanic. So for those of you who do understand how to use Anima correctly, feel free to leave an STG in the comments or swing by Discord to chat about it. I'd really appreciate talking with you about it. And of course, you can usually find me in Discord. I'm going to try to make sure my office hours are I'm going to try to make sure I am available, But if you want to reach me, you're going to need to reach me on Pacific time. I'm usually going to be in my Discord anywhere between 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. off and on, because I'm on the phone, I'm taking care of business, taking out the trash, washing clothes, making breakfast and coffee. And then I get into hardcore recording around 9 a.m. all the way to noon. And once I get to noon, I'm in hardcore break mode. I take a nice break. I maybe go out for a walk. I get a cup of coffee or a smoothie. I go hang out with Marissa. And then I come back around 1 p.m. and I get right back into some hardcore recording. And then I usually end my day around 4:30 or 5. And that's when I just, either finish up my exercise, take another shower, and get ready for dinner, take a tiny nap if I'm feeling exhausted, and maybe watch a little TV, stuff like that. When I mean TV, I mean YouTube. YouTube is my TV. And that's kind of what my day looks like almost every day, unless I have an appointment or something to take care of. And of course, in between that time, I'm doing some editing, recording, making some cutscenes, movies, things like that. I try to stay very busy. It makes me feel good when I'm busy. All right, let's talk about some of these cards. So that was one of the first cards. Now, this card is unique because it does so much doom damage. There's not very many cards that just do a straight up 13 points of damage. Doom is a great effect to use on enemies that are passive, that are building themselves up. So there are a lot of enemies that like to build themselves up. I call those the doomsday enemies. They're basically ticking away. They're building up mammoth amounts of resources, and then they're going to swamp you with it, or they're going to be impossible to kill. And then they're going to slowly wheedle you down until you die. So that is one of the kind of things that certain enemies do. Especially enemies that have a lot of hit points can sometimes lock you out of the game. So you have to be aware of how to hurt enemies that do that. You also have to be aware of enemies that are going to heal themselves. Those kind of enemies you've got to inflict poison on very frequently, because you've got to cut down on their healing. Because if you spend all your best moves and they heal 100 hit points, you're not going to beat them. They're going to always be ahead of you. So the key to Dawncaster is you have to stay ahead of your enemy, not behind. And that's really all I can say. That's one of the primary
Nihilism.
principles.
Neutral 1. Inflict 13. Cursed puzzle box. Dexant 1. Swap the cost of the puzzle box with the card in hand. It becomes cursed.
Stay
cursed.
ahead of your
Memorize.
enemy.
Persistent utility. Legendary. Treasure.
All right, let's
this card
go
is
over
part of the
these
treasure
cards.
pool and can be found through various events.
Nihilism. Cursed puzzle box. Cursed puzzle box is my absolute favorite card. So when I first met Cursed Puzzle Box, I hated it. It would drive me crazy. And I said, I hate you, Cursed Puzzle Box. Get out of my deck. Because you get it from these opportunities and treasures and traps kind of thing. But Cursed Puzzle Box is magnificent. It is so fun. In fact, everyone has discovered Cursed Puzzle Box. If you haven't discovered Cursed Puzzle Box, I will try to leave a link to my video where I discuss why Cursed Puzzle Box is so absolutely broken and powerful. You might get to see a little bit of how I misuse it. Actually, the developer knows how it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be a secret, and that's what it is. Rick makes a lot of secrets, and then you have to unravel those secrets. But they take lots of investigating. So you've got to delve into Dawncaster. You got to fully immerse yourself. That's how you kind of discover secrets, by fully immersing yourself. Do stuff that is not wise. Get into good trouble, as they say. That's how you get better at Dawncaster. Almost every secret I've discovered is because I said, I don't care. I'm going to do it. And guess what? I found something amazing. So yeah, take risk in Dawncaster and you will definitely be rewarded. So that risk versus reward principle is going to go ahead and be your pro tip too. Take high risks, they usually give high rewards. That's your
Doomsday.
second
Add a
pro
terror to your
tip.
foe's deck. If this
All
was
right.
foretold, 0
So yeah,
slash 2 times.
Curse Puzzle
Transform a
Box,
card
I'm
in your
not
hand
going to
into a
go
terror
into
instead.
it
Cursed
deeply
utility.
here, but
Legendary.
it's a great
Terror.
card.
On draw. Gain vertical line number sign.
It's
Round number.
very
Start
useful.
difficulty number sign vertical line doom inflicts difficulty additional doom for every turn that has passed.
Okay, so, excuse me. Doomsday is, of course, my Doctor Doom card. Of course, you know I do my Seeker Doctor Doom deck. If you haven't checked out my Doctor Doom deck, I'll also try to leave. I don't know if I can squeeze all these links into one video. I only have 5,000 characters on YouTube. But I will try to link my Doctor Doom's deck, but here's an easier way to find it. Go to my TCG Thursday playlist and look up Doctor Doom. Fantastic Four, you shall be destroyed. Yeah, my Doctor Doom deck is awesome and takes advantage of all the Doom cards. You will have a ball watching that one. I love my Doctor Doom cards, but Doom cards are great. They do damage, and this particular Doom card is a newer card and has a couple of different principles. Number one, it has a rebound, and I, of course, will be going into these individual terms in a separate video series. But rebound means you have to do what the particular card says to do successfully a couple of times. In this case, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 10. Once you do what the card says do, its counter will tick off the number of times you've done it. Once its counter reaches its maximum, the card will change. And that's what a lot of new cards do. They transform, they transcend, they change. And that's really, really what brings this game to the next level. So some of the early cards never change. Very few did. A lot of the newer cards, even the cards that are common and uncommon, actually have change mechanics, evolution mechanics. Not to mention, you have so many more ways. In fact, you have a vast number of ways to change cards in the expansion, specifically speaking of Eclipse. Because with Eclipse, you can curse cards, you can add random effects to cards, you still have the standard shrines, which alter cards, giving them memorization, giving them strange effects. But you also have shrines that give random effects, like adding chain, adding poison, adding memorize, adding, I don't know, just different effects. There's just so many different effects, adding reliable. And there are new effects that make cards really strange. Like there are cards that need to be destroyed in order to get stronger. There are cards that need to be interacted with certain elements to make them stronger. There are cards that need to evolve by feats of strength by you. What I mean by feats of strength is that when you meet the requirements of the card will evolve. So pro tip number 3, really play around with new cards. That's really going to strengthen your card repertoire so that when you run across a very strange card and you have a really good deck going, it's not going to throw you off. Because if you don't know the cards and you get a really good card, you're going to go, oh, I don't want this card. It's in my way. It's going to slow my deck down. It's not going to do what I want. But then you may not realize that card may promote your deck, make your deck even more broken. So yeah, pro tip 3, play with new cards, experiment with them, make mistakes, have some good trouble. That's the real key to this game. Of course, we have some Dawn coffee. All right, so that's that card. I love that. I have quite a few interesting cards in this deck. This is the first deck, well, not my first Seeker deck. As y'all know, I've been playing Seeker quite a bit. I'm very comfortable with Seeker. In fact, I'm more comfortable with the Seeker than I am the Rogue right now. But yeah, and it shows because I've maxed out my Seeker. I think I'm level 42, as I mentioned before. But yeah, I've got quite a few different cards in this deck, including sand cards. Sand cards are one of the newest things. It kind of fits that whole pirate witch theme. But yeah, I've actually been using a lot of sand cards. Sand cards are different. They definitely work together well. Like there are cards that have always kind of worked well together in this game. And this is another group of cards that work really well together. But you still got to mix in the correct ingredients to make them strong. They can't do it all by themselves. And that's the thing about Dawncaster. You've got to know what cards to mix into your deck. Like if you're making gumbo, you got to know what all the spices are. If you don't know what all the spices are, people are going to say,
First puzzle
your gumbo's
Doomsday.
okay.
Add a terror
But
to your
when you
quick
know the
adaptation.
right spices,
Deck
right, they
one.
go,
Permanently
your
replace a card in your
gumbo
deck with
is
one of your opponent's cards.
amazing.
Unique.
It's like being
First
in
utility.
New Orleans.
Legendary.
Yeah, see, then that means you know what you're doing. Okay, quick adaptation is an old card, but a powerful card. And it takes a lot of effort to make quick adaptation work correctly. If done correctly, quick adaptation is a good card that gets rid of bad cards in your deck. By the way, there are so many cards that can't be removed from my deck because they're cursed. Cursed cards can't be removed at campsites. Think of curse as a very powerful magic that might explode in your face. And yeah, you can't just remove it at a campsite. You need certain circumstances to remove cursed cards. It requires a pretty unique process to remove them. So cursed cards are very hard to get rid of. And I have to say, I think Rick has really solidified that gameplay mechanic. So in a way, if you're going to play with cursed cards, pro tip number 4, playing with cursed cards is like playing with fire. Not recommended. But if you know what you're doing, and you're fireproof, it might be a good thing to do. But yeah, cursed cards require a lot of practice. There are a lot of strong, hard rules you must follow. But if you're going to play with cursed cards, read the codex, watch some of my videos. I will be covering cursed cards. And yeah, they're quite tricky. And they can really surprise you because they are very stubborn. And they just won't do exactly what you want all the time. Cursed cards kind of have their own intelligence. They have their own vibe. And to understand cursed cards' vibes, you have to spend a lot of time manipulating them, controlling them, playing them, switching them out, creating decks. Which is actually what I'd like to say. I actually hope one day that Rick adds more save slots, because I'd love to be able to play the weekly trial and play my daily missions. I just wish we had more than one save slot. I think 3 would be good, but I understand. If Rick wanted to make that a pay option, I would jump on that the same day. I would gladly say for a couple bucks, maybe even $5 or $10, I'd gladly love
Doomsday.
to have the
Quick
option to
adaptation.
have
Decks in
more
one.
than one
Permanently
save
replace a card in your
file.
deck with one of your
That
opponent's
would be
cards.
fantastic.
Unique. Cursed utility. Legendary.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about this card. Quick adaptation. Good card to get rid of other cards. Good card to steal powerful cards from your enemy. Be careful though. If your card is cursed from your enemy, you may not ever get rid of that card. And if that card has a problem, which means every card that's cursed has a problem, if you take a card from your opponent thinking that's going to be a great card for your deck, but it's what we call a deck wrecker, which is going to be pro tip 4. If you pull in a deck wrecker, then you're going to be pretty much burned for the rest of your playthrough. Because once you pull in a deck wrecker and you can't get rid of it, which means you can't play it seamlessly with your other cards, it has no symbiosis, it's its own deck, then you are in trouble. So deck wreckers are cards that come into your deck and they won't work with your other cards. That's a deck wrecker. Typically, these are cards you take with adaptation. These are cards you take from shrines. These are cards that change in unexpected ways because you participated in some in-game event. Or these are cards that you just wanted to play around with and didn't know that it was going to wreck your deck. So if you get a deck wrecker, make a note of it in your notes and go back to it. So that's the key. Remember I talked about in our earlier pro tips, learn all the cards. If I didn't say it, pro tip 6, learn every card. learn how all the cards work. Play with every card at least several times so you know what to expect. And then you can draw comparisons and you can learn how it works with other cards. Because learning how cards collaborate with each other is one of the more efficient ways to get good at this game. Again, I highly recommend this game for teaching you out-of-the-box thinking. Because this game really rewards thinking out of the box. Because everything in this game, from the adventure to the progression, is linear with a few different paths to choose. But your deck is one of the things that is like an organism. It's a biological creature. It is a type of entity. It's always evolving and changing, getting stronger, getting weaker, elevating itself, de-escalating, things like that. So your deck is the heart and soul and blood of this game. Whereas the adventure is the backdrop, and it's
Tuesday,
enticing and enjoyable, and there's lots of
replace
things
a card
to
in your deck with
explore.
Ultra Memory.
But the
Dex
real
1. Choose a card in your deck. If it
joy
has
in
Memorize,
this game
destroy it.
is your
If it
deck
does not, add Memorize.
and how you
Charges,
manipulate
1/1
it.
utility. Rare.
So Altered Memory is a strange card. It basically is a very powerful card with a specific purpose to turn every card you want that doesn't have memorization into a card with memory. But it has a nefarious other thing it can do, which is if your card already has memory and you activate Altered Memory on it, it will destroy that card, making it your out of campsite way to destroy cards. Now, does it destroy curse cards? I'm unsure. I haven't quite yet had the opportunity to see if it does. But Altered Memory is one of my experiments. It's on the lab table. I am playing with it. It is a really powerful card. It's definitely pro tip number 7. One of the things you want to use to give both of your energy or all 3 of your energy cards memorization. So memory is great. Your card comes up in the beginning of the battle. Be aware, if you have other cards that are clogging up your memory spots, you may want to either increase your hand size or you're going to want to cut
Aries
down
Reflection.
on cards that are
After you
already
foretell
memorized.
6 or more cards in a turn,
You
add
can't
3 prophetic
squeeze
bolts
them
to your deck
all
in
into
advance.
one
Cursed
hand.
utility.
So
Rare.
keep that in
Foretell.
mind.
Look at the top X cards
That's
of your
your
deck.
pro tip
Put one on
number
top
7.
and the others at the bottom of your deck. Advance. Paths have various stages, each requiring their own feat of strength. After meeting the advanced condition, the card upgrades to its next, more powerful stage.
Okay, so Aries is another one of the newest cards. It's a path card. It's an evolutionary card, and you simply need to do what it says to do, and it will get stronger. And it will do this 3 times. And just like the Grimoires, we talked about the Grimoires, same thing. Once you complete its path, you get a new permanent powerful effect. Very much a tier or 2 below a Revelation. Now, Revelations are pretty broken, but require some pretty spectacular acrobatics to enact, unless you are really efficient. I wouldn't say I'm very efficient, but playing with these path cards is quite enjoyable. This deck has about 3 path cards. I've gotten 2 of them to pop off, but I still need to maybe get 1 or 2 more of them to work. Again, they're both fun and a good source of entertainment as you're just playing through either your progression or your experimentation. Pro tip number 8, set up a day to experiment with your cards, which means create a deck that you don't care. Because we tend to care. Excuse me. Sorry about that. My campsite's fire is getting a little smoky. Pick a day to experiment with your cards. Like, just play a random class. They have functions built in. Rick has it so you can choose random cards for your whole setup. He's one of the few developers that makes that possible. In fact, that's actually a good thing for all developers to do. to let their people learn to experiment. We tend to try to minimax cards to get the most powerful effects in a deck, and then we wonder why we're bored. I'm so bored, this is so easy. Well, you took the most powerful options, you took the easiest path, and you took no risk. Of course you're bored. The real key to games is to take risk. Remember, we talked about it in the previous pro tip.
After you foretell 6 or more cards in a turn, add 3 prophetic bolts to your deck in advance.
You get very little reward for low
Centaur's
risk.
Truth. Dex int 1. After you draw 3 additional cards in a turn, gain 10 barrier in advance. Memorized utility. Rare. Advance. Paths have various stages, each requiring their own feat of strength. After meeting the advanced condition, the card upgrades to its next, more powerful stage.
That gives you a lot of fun. Now, Centaur's Truth is another path card. So these are, again, Aries and Centaurs. These are Centaur, Truth, whatever. These are both path cards, and they advance, and you have to do what they say to do, usually over multiple turns or in one turn. As a note, pro tip 9, path cards get moved over to your status bar, which I like to call, I kind of like to call the status bar your tool belt. That's where, it's not a totally correct expression, but just stay with me for a second. It kind of gets put on your status bar, and you can look at them anytime you want, manipulate them, look at how many stacks they have, look what you need to do to complete them. And Rick has done a magnificent job of making sure that your status bar is very stable. It's streamlined, stable, clean, neat, accessible. And it just kind of tells you everything you need to know. It tells you what effects are hurting you. It tells you what your enemy's done to you. It tells you what your equipment is doing. It tells you what your items are doing. It tells you what effects of magic are in place and that are going to hurt you or help you or stabilize things. So your status bar is your best friend. Definitely, when I first played, I did not know what the status bar was, and I truly didn't know what was going on. And once I opened up my knowledge about the status bar, oh my God, this whole game came crashing down on me. It was so beautifully intricate and gorgeous. But yes, I will cover the status bar for beginners. For those of you who are coming to these videos as a beginner, I am going to try to go over everything, all the basics of this game as much as I can. Mind you, as updates come in, things will change, so keep that in mind. All right? Deep Study is a very strange card. Basically, you could draw your entire deck, because Deep Study will keep putting cards in your hand until it reaches a non-memorized card. Now, if you know what you're doing, you could draw 20, 30 cards. And if all those cards are free, energy-wise, you could play them all in one turn and just overwhelm your enemy. I've done that a few times. It's a fun, really fun abuse, but it's designed that way. Remember, Deep Study takes a whole deck around it to really work successfully. And it takes almost the entire game, maybe 16 to 20 hours, to kind of fully realize Deep Study in its beauty. But yes, Deep Study
Dex int 1. Gain 3 regenerate at the start of your next turn. Gain 20 health if you took no damage during your close turn.
When it
Unique
reaches
utility.
a non-memorized
Regenerate
card.
at the start of the turn.
It's
Gain 1
quite
health per
fun
stack
to
and
play
decrease
with.
regenerate by
Give
1.
it a try. Life Pod is part of the Pacifist card set. So if you're playing Pacifist cards where you don't attack and you prepare, there are quite a few decks that don't attack directly. Life Pod works really well because those kind of Pacifist decks are really good at using evasion and agile to make sure the opponent cannot hurt you while you hurt them with your effects. So Life Pod is really powerful. If your opponent doesn't hurt you, you get 20 health and 4 stacks of Regenerate. Regenerate is one of the good effects. Regenerate activates on you, and every time your opponent tries to hurt you, you get a stack of Regenerate. So if you have 15 stacks of Regenerate, every time your opponent tries to hurt you, you get 15 health. if you have 15 stacks to regenerate. That's the best way to explain it. Again, I fought an enemy one time and I think they had 100 stacks to regenerate. You can imagine how frustrating that was.
Cleansing waters. Cleanse and
but yeah, regenerate is a powerful tool.
Title effects are triggered whenever
Definitely
the tide changes.
play with
the tide always
it
changes at the start
and
of
let
your
me
turn.
know what you come
Cleansing
up
waters.
with. It's
Game 3
really
regenerate
fun.
title. Create a clone.
Okay, cleansing water is very confusing. Now, I don't use it correctly because I'm still learning it. It's one of my, again, experiments. I've never seen it cleanse anything, so I must not be paying attention very well. Now, what it does do, it's really great. It gives you 3 stacks to regenerate, which we talked about earlier, and it also gives you a clone. So cleansing water, if you give it a puzzle box, makes it free, and then, yeah, you can just pull clones in and get tons of regeneration. Oh, it's great. It's a great recovery tool. If you can get 3 of them in your deck that have no costs, this is really hard to kill you. It's just really hard to kill you. You're sitting there with 12 stacks to regenerate and maybe 3 or 4 clones. Whew, man, you can be nasty. I would have to say, if you're going to mirror a card, mirror a 0 energy cost cleanse. It doesn't do damage, but it does have lots of parts of it that helps you down the road. So that's it is again
Neutral 2.
a great
Activate to
card.
transmute a card
Play
into a
with
cursed
it.
card of a higher rarity. Deplete.
Take it or leave it. If it gets
durability.
in your way,
Curse.
you can
Memorize
always
utility.
just dump
Uncommon.
it or
Transmute.
evolve
Transmuting
it
a card
or
permanently
something.
converts it into a random card of the same color with a higher rarity. Hex. Hexes are powerful effects that debilitate foes in different ways. Durability. The number of times equipment can be activated before it's depleted for the remainder of combat.
Okay, we've covered the Cursed Cauldron in our witching series when we played a lot of witch decks when the Pirates and Witches Eclipse expansion came out. Basically Eclipse, it has mostly a lot of pirate and witch stuff. So the Cursed Cauldron is a great card. It gets rid of other cards and or improves other cards or, makes other cards worse. It's a great card. Again, it's on my experiment list. It's on my lab table, and I'm trying to see if I can use it to get rid of curse cards that are bugging me. So as a Minimaxer, born and bred, I do like to make my deck 100% efficient, which means you've got to constantly micromanage your cards. If a card is not working for you, you either got to get rid of it, and if you can't get rid of it, you've got to change it. And if you can't change it, you've got to upgrade it so that it works. So the thing about cards in this game is they force you to change. They don't often let you change them. So you've got to know how to change your strategy based on what your cards are doing. That's one of the biggest weakness new players have in this game. They don't know how to, what's the word for it? They don't know how to change up their strategy based on how their deck is performing. Like, you might start off saying, I'm going to be hyper aggressive, and your deck is incredibly passive. You might start off the game going, I'm going to just drop nothing but snares and never attack. But then you get a bunch of bombastic offensive cards that require you to attack in melee, which means taking risk on counterattack. So the thing about this game is you've got to know how to switch up your strategy. And that's going to finish off our pro tips because I want to get into some gameplay. But pro tip number 10, change up your strategy when necessary. You never know when your deck is going to switch strategies because your cards have a mind of their own.
Cleansing water. Cursed
in a
cauldron.
way, they all
Neutral
kind of
2.
have their
Activate
own
to transmute a card into a
intelligence.
cursed card of a higher rarity. Deplete. Inflict a hex. 2 healing potion. 1 use. Gain
Right,
10
so,
health if you are below 50%
yeah.
health. Gain 15 health
This-
instead utility. Uncommon. Treasure. This card. No.
Cursed
Dex
Cauldron
1.
gets
Reduce the
rid
next
of
incoming damage to
cards,
1. Only 1
and it
health
will
can be
make it a
activated at time
strange
utility.
card.
Uncommon.
We all know what a healing potion does. Note is an interesting card. There are different notes, so play around with those. Those are some of my bonus tips. Notes are really good. They reduce 1 incoming damage down to 1 point of damage, which is nothing. anybody, if by the time you've been playing this game for several months, you should know how to stay alive. You should know how to buy potions from the apothecary. You should know how to make sure that your deck has at least 5 to 10% worth of healing cards, at least 5 to 10% worth of defensive cards. And of course, you need to make sure your deck has a whole lot of offense, because you need to have offense in this game to win. But you've also got to have defense too. Now, some people who are really experienced, they can afford to alter that percentages to a great deal, but that's really up to them to pass that knowledge on. If you do have a really specialized deck, feel free to swing by my Discord and let's talk, because I'd love to interview those of you who are really truly experts with Dawncaster, because I would be great to be able to pass on your knowledge to other newer players who can kind of get an idea of what you can really do at the latter stages of this game. So if you are a pro or an expert at Dawncaster, I would consider you an expert if you are maybe ranked or you beat the game consistently. I'd love to chat with you. So reach out to me on Discord, Michael Gray, Game Double Tap. Join my Discord. The link is in my description. I definitely want to reach out to you. I am coming up. I'm working on an IMO series, and I'm working on a new playlist to teach beginners, intermediate, and advanced players how to really play Dawncaster. Lots of plans for most of these won't come into 2025. There's a reason why I'm saying that, because I never get as much done as I want to get done during the holidays. So I'm going to say
evasion. When dealt melee damage,
a lot of
reduce
these
the first damage
projects
taken
won't
to 0,
happen
then
to
decrease
next
evasion
year.
by 1. Evasion fades at the start of the turn.
Rogue's Locket is a very old but sweet card. It basically is a card you're going to want to always use first, unless you have some ambushes you need to carry out. And it's going to give you evasion, and it's going to give you the energy back. It also has a secondary effect, which is that it will promote dexterity cards to be in your rewards. It's a great card. It never hurts the Seeker. Now, but if your Seeker is into spirituality and magic, then you might want to get a card that brings in intelligence cards. But yeah, Rogue's Locket is a great card. I find it makes my decks
gain swiftness,
very,
gain 2 momentum,
very
reset your ambush.
roguey,
Cursed
very
utility. Common.
stabby,
Swiftness.
very
While you have
strong.
swiftness, your evasion
I
also
really
evades
like
magic and ranged
Rogue's
attacks.
Locket.
Momentum.
It's quite
Whenever
a
you
great
have 5 or more
card.
momentum,
And it's
remove
an
all
old
stacks and
card.
draw a card. Ambush. Ambush triggers whenever it is the first card played of the round.
Now we get into the sand cards. This card has 4 different effects and structures that you need to understand. So, momentum is owed. Momentum says that when you get 5 stacks of momentum, you will draw a card. Think about that. That is a very powerful mechanic. I used to use that on my mage classes a lot because I wanted to draw more cards, because my cards had a very low cost and I wanted my chains to keep going. Especially if you're playing a lightning mage, it's really good to have your chain building up to astronomical levels. Another thing this card has is something called Agile. So Agile activates when you've evaded an attack the previous turn. Pay attention to the terminology in the rules. You have to have evaded attack the previous turn. Therefore, don't think Agile is going to work on the same turn you activate.
Rogue's Locket. Cloak
It
of
only
Sand.
works
Gain
on
swiftness,
the
gain 2 momentum, reset
next
your ambush.
turn
Cursed
after
utility.
you've
Common.
evaded an
Swiftness.
attack.
While you have swiftness,
So
your evasion
Agile
also
is
evades magic and
another
ranged
effect
attacks.
in this
Momentum. Whenever you have 5 or
particular
more
card.
momentum, remove all stacks and draw a card. Ambush. Ambush triggers whenever it is the first card played of the round.
I mean swiftness. Sorry. Okay, sorry, let me apologize. There was no Agile on this card. It was swiftness. I explained to you what Agile does. That's just going to be a bonus. Let me explain to you about swiftness. Swiftness is a very powerful evasion technique. It's its own structure. You need to learn how swiftness works. It's all about adding another layer of protection to decks that use evasion. So swiftness is going to give you that little extra well, it's a lot of extra protection against, I do believe, magic and projectiles. It's not invincible, but it really shores up a lot of your weaknesses. Of course, you all know what ambush is. Ambush cards, unless otherwise stated, must be played as the first card of each round. However, there are cards that reenact or reactivate your ambush. So, and there are also talents that make your ambush active throughout your entire turn or game. So pay attention to those effects. Ambush has been around for a long time, since the beginning. It's very powerful for those stabby types. Does a lot of damage. Rogues, seekers, hunters, all of them utilize ambush. Of course, Rick has introduced many different classes that take advantage of ambush. So almost any class can play around with ambush principles.
Whenever you have 5 or more momentum, remove all stacks and draw a card. Ambush. Ambush triggers whenever it is the first card played of the round.
Okay, very important to activate swiftness early on in the fight, because most enemies have range attacks and they're smart enough to know how to use it on you. So if they think you're going to keep evading attacks, they will switch strategy and they will hit you. So they have a low-key AI and or a pattern. So if they have an AI, be careful, because they will find a way to break through your defense. If they have a pattern, because they're more of a kind of linear kind of fight, then they already have a way of dealing with whatever you're going to pull out of your
Make a basic attack repeat for every stack of momentum.
So,
0.
For the most part, I would say if you're going to run a lot of evasion,
remove all stacks and draw a
should
card.
be in your toolbox. Dervish is good. It's not my favorite card, but it can be powerful. Under the right circumstances with enough momentum, say about 4 stacks of it, Dervish can be pretty brutal.
Foretell 3. Gain momentum for each card
especially if you've
foretold.
got it set up to critically hit.
Memorized utility.
Again,
momentum.
it's a take it or
Whenever you
leave
have
it
5 or
card
more
for
momentum,
me,
remove all
but
stacks and draw a
play
card.
around with it and tell me what
Agile
you
effects
think.
are active if you've evaded an attack last round.
Okay, now we get into agile cards and we get into more of the desert cards. So Desert Rush is a foretell card. So I haven't talked a lot about foretell. Foretell allows you to look into your deck that has not yet reached your hand, not your discard pile. This is the cards that you haven't played yet. Now, keep in mind, certain cards can be pulled out of your unplayed deck. They can be put in your hand. They can be placed in your discard pile. Alternatively, you can also pull cards out of your discard pile, place them back into your deck or your hand. You can do just about anything in this game if you have the proclivity. Now, Agile only is active when you've evaded an attack the previous turn. Now, Agile is its own new kind of gameplay kind of system or structure. So if you have Agile, if it's active, certain cards become free. And that is really where the magic happens with Agile. If your card says, if you have Agile, it's free, then guess what? Your card is free to play. And that's magnificent. It means you get to play more cards. And this deck fully takes advantage of several broken principles of Agile, which allows me to pretty much play my entire hand every single turn.
Memorized utility. Common.
Every time.
When dealt damage,
But I would
take
say
1 less damage per stack of armor.
70 to
Armor fades at the start of the
80%
turn.
of the time.
Anger. Increases the damage dealt by actions by 1 per stack of anger. Shift. Assume a new form. Only 1 form can be active at a time. Form of the bear. Whenever you discard a card, gain 3 armor. Start of turn. Gain 3 health. Channel. Okay, so I am pausing because voiceover's talking. You know, I have to listen to voiceover, so I don't like to talk over it, and I don't have the ability to make it stop talking. So
You can't do that with this platform. Everything's accessible, but I can't two-finger stop voiceover from talking. So, Fur Hide is an old card, but it works really well on Seekers. Think of Seekers as druids in a sense, monks, druids, something like that. So Fur Hide is underused. It is a card, what's that word for it? It is kind of like, people underestimate Fur Hide. But actually, a deck with 2 or 3 Fur Hides with 0 cost, whew, man, if you're a warrior, well, I don't think warriors will ever get it, but if you are a seeker or rogue, that anger is going to make you so broken. Because remember, you get 2 anger every time you play Fur Hide when Fur Hide is already active and present. And you can determine that by checking your status bar. So I like to have Fur Hide with 0 cost. I like to use it, I like to have it memorized, and I like to play it early. Then, if I'm able to find a shrine with mirror, I like to mirror it, get a copy of it with that 0 cost, that 0 energy cost, and I like to memorize that card. Then I play them both on one turn, and I get a free 2 anger. But that doesn't sound like much, right? That's not the biggest combo you ever heard. But here's the beauty. When you have 2 Fur Hides in your deck, and you know how to play your deck right, you can keep bringing that card back and playing it over and over and over again, and you can be a monster. Again, refer to my playlist. How to Become a Monster is in there. If it hasn't been put in there, it will be put in there soon. But let me tell you something. Anger is one of the most powerful archetypes in this game. Anger decks, whew, man, there's not very many enemies that can stand up to anger. We're almost out of our dawn coffee. We may need to put a pot of kettle on the
this combat.
fire
Inflict 3 poison whenever you hit with a melee or ranged action utility.
A little bit
Common.
more.
Poison.
But let's
After
try to
playing a card,
complete
take
our
1 damage,
card
then decrease poison by 1 when gaining health. Prevent 1 health per stack and reduce poison by 1 for each health prevented. On hit, requires the attack to have hit the target and dealt damage.
Poison Coating is an enchantment. It is a very good card. It is underestimated, but it is highly effective. Having every one of your attacks do poison is brutal. And if you add potency, each one of those ticks of poison will do vastly more damage. So get used to poison working with potency. Again, Rick changed those principles, and it was a good move. It was a great move, in fact, because potency is understandable now, and it is much easier to craft a deck around it. So poison, much more effective since the latest update, since the latest card release. It's just like when I talk to you guys about playing games like Verse and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. When new card sets come, old principles get stronger or weaker, and you never know which new or old principle is going to be the dominant one. In the case of Eclipse, there are so many cards that were very marginal that are now powerhouses now. So definitely go back through my pro tips.
Poison coating. Dex
experiment,
1.
experiment,
Dex
experiment.
1. Deal 3 damage agile. Gain 3
one
momentum
of
and
the pro
interrupt.
tips I did
First
say
magic.
experiment.
Comment. Momentum.
That is
Whenever
really
you have 5
how
or more
you get
momentum,
really
remove all
better
stats
at
and draw a
this
card.
game.
Agile. Agile effects are active if you've evaded an attack last round.
Back to the sand cards. Okay, Sandblast, again, this is not my favorite card, but again, it's another sand card. It interrupts. There are a lot of things you couldn't do a lot in the previous iterations and updates and card releases, but we're starting to get some of the lesser kind of like used cards now, and they're amped up, they're built up, they have so many more principles built into them. So interrupting your opponent is really important if they are using a flow. Flows are dangerous, and if your enemy has the right flow going, you are going to be pulled under. Just like the undertow pulls you out and doesn't allow you to come back to shore, flows are the same principle. If your opponent knows how to play flows, and there are enemies that have flows set up, you will never recover. You will never catch them because flows are always going to beat adaptive strategy. Okay, flows, think of it as the ocean the water pushing you out to sea. You can't swim against that. You've got to go around it. You've got to swim up. You've got to swim horizontally. You can't go vertically back to shore. So think of flows as something of an advanced technique to kind of overwhelm your opponent. Okay, so pro tip 11, there are a lot of ways to overwhelm your opponent. You can, 1, beat them with pure brutality. 2, you can beat them with effects like corrosive elements that burn them or poison. And 3, you can defeat them with traps and tricks. So, and that's just 3 examples. I can go on. So, you gotta know what school you're using fits. Well, you got to know what kind of school you're using and where it fits
Poison,
within those 3 principles.
Sandblast, neutral,
so
share,
there's
plus
not
9,
one
neutral 1,
simple
deal star
way
12
to
star
beat
damage
an
agile,
opponent.
add 2 damage and
There are
attack
many
again,
different ways
ambush,
to
gain
beat an
evasion,
opponent.
memorize melee,
So,
common,
keep
evasion,
that in mind.
when dealt melee damage, reduce the first damage taken to 0, then decrease evasion by 1, evasion fades at the start of the turn, ambush triggers whenever it is the first card played of the round, agile effects are active if you've evaded an attack last round.
Okay, Shamshir is the last weapon you unlock as a Seeker. You're going to be around level 40, 42. I do believe you're 42. I think the leveling is linear, so you should all of us should be about the same level. As far as I know, there may be other secrets I don't know yet. But yeah, Shamshir is the weapon I'm using. It's very powerful. Again, I'm very pleased with it. Yes, this is my first deck using Shamshir. And I got all the way to the Godskar waist, which, I mean, listen, I mean, that's, some of you say, oh, well, I have decks with weapons that can easily get to the Godskar waist. Well, that's true, but I've never used Shamshir, but I'm very happy with Shamshir. So, to me, Shamshir reminds me of Great Bow. Great Bow is, as you know, I used to call it Greek Bow. It's Great Bow. Just voiceover pronounces things strangely at times. Samantha pronounces things strangely. So sometimes you might hear me mispronounce a word or misspell a word. Understand, I am totally blind. I am relying on voiceover, and I know some of you are experts at analyzing what voiceover says and how to correct it. I am not. I'm simply myself, and I do the best I can. But Great Bow deck, I played the Great Bow deck on my Hunter, and it's extremely powerful because it does crits a lot. Well, Shamshir is similar to that. It crits a lot. I don't think it crits a lot, but its effects pop off a lot. If it critted, it'd be overly broken. If it critted, you'd do massive amounts of damage. But in a way, it sort of crits because it attacks twice. It's a little bit more of a mini game with Shamshir. So mini games are very much part of role-playing games, roguelikes, RPGs, adventure games. It's a mini game where you're trying to make an effect activate. And it requires a couple of elements to be in place
deal star 12 star damage agile. Add 2 damage and attack again. Ambush. Gain evasion. Memorize melee.
So
common. Evasion. When dealt melee damage, reduce the first damage taken to 0. Then decrease evasion by 1. Evasion fades at the start of the turn. Ambush triggers whenever it is the first card played of the round. Agile effects are active if you've evaded an attack last round.
So this card will attack twice, so that's basically a crit, right? But it also has the effective evasion, so it makes it like Great Bow. So this card is great also, and it has agile. It adds 2 points of damage, which is like an upgrade, or something you can do when you go to the blacksmith. So I would have to say, though this card requires a little bit more work, a little bit more understanding, it's probably a little bit better than Great Bow. And it also has momentum, so it can draw other cards, which means unlike Great Bow, which only works at a certain point, this card kind of can make it so that all of your Shamshirs are doing their double effect, because it uses ambush, but then it's really easy to reset that ambush. I'm going to try to talk about that a little bit more. It's a little confusing. Again, come back. I'm going to come back again, cover this when I'm a little bit more familiarized with principles, because I have a lot to learn about Shamshir. This again is my really first time extensively playing with Shamshir. I would say several hours, but I really like it. It's really powerful. And of course you can hear it's a +9, which means that I've upgraded it. Shamshir, and it is 100% worth
Search of dexterity. Gain dex and conjure a basic attack. Memorize.
Right. I'm going to go swipe through all the Shamshirs, because once you know one, you don't need to hear all of them.
Search of intellect. Gain INT and 1 focus. Memorized utility. Common. Focus.
Search cards or
reveal 1 more
energy
card
cards.
for every 3 stacks. At the start of the round, draw 1 additional card for every 6 stacks.
I think it's, I keep saying search. It's surge. I gotta change that. I know I've been saying search for intellect. I think it's surge of intellect, surge of dexterity. That's another thing. Samantha pronounces things and I hear things a certain way. So you may be saying, it's not surge, it's surge. Yeah, but I can only hear what I can hear. Again, folks, voiceover is a tool. It's a tool with limitations. And again, it'd be easier if I could character by character navigate every word, but that's what the codex is for. And I don't even know the codex could allow you to character by character navigate. What really needs to happen is, if you really want to know how to pronounce a word, what I should do is go to the Discord community, which is a very friendly, loving community, and ask somebody to pronounce it for me. Now, I'm very proud. I don't like to ask for help. I like to learn things myself. It makes me feel good, and it promotes independence in my mind. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck for me. A lot of explanations, so you know how I play. I like to kind of introduce you all to my thinking process so that you know why I'm doing things the way I do it. So if you listen to my series on every class, you kind of understand why I do the things the way I do it. And of course, I am looking for folks who are experts in Dawncaster, because yeah, I'd like to chat with you, have a conversation, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, and maybe talk about recording a couple of series. If you are comfortable talking on camera, that's good. If you're a little bit more shyer and would like me to just kind of relay some of your top pro tips, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Swing by my Discord and we'll chat, okay? All right, I'm gonna take a quick, tiny little break, refill my coffee bio, and I'll be right back. Yes, we are playing the Seeker Shamshir. I don't know how I'm gonna pronounce it. I don't know how I'm gonna spell it, but you get the picture. We're gonna come back to Shamshir. We're gonna get into some gameplay. We're going to check out the Godskar waste, maybe kill a couple of enemies, maybe die, who knows. But yeah, we're going to get into it in a second. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. almost back. Just putting a little Dawncaster coffee on the grill, on the fire. Putting a little bit more energy. Taking a little bit of my necromantic supplements. There we go. We are alive. All right. All right, we're coming back. Excuse the noise. My apologies. All right. Beautiful morning. If you're looking for more of a chill series, check out my Easy Grind. I think I have about 40 episodes of Easy Grind. It has its own playlist. It's a good kind of video series. You get knowledge, relax, and just hear the pure gameplay and sounds of my noise combined with many different developers' games and their sounds. It's a great symbiosis. It's relaxing. You want to hear me in my most chill state? Check out my Easy Grind videos. They come in different levels of volume and veracity. So sometimes I'm very mellow in them. Sometimes I'm a little punchy, a little excited. But they're always still Easy Grind, where it's very informal, relaxed, and you often can take a little nap and enjoy them. You can put the whole playlist on and have a great time. All right, I refreshed my coffee. The fire is burning. We are just about to go out on our adventure. We've already gone over the entire deck. Those of you who have come back from skipping the intro of explaining the whole deck, welcome back. I appreciate you. Let's get into some battles, and as principles of my deck kind of become apparent, we'll talk about them briefly. You're always free to fast forward a couple of minutes if it's a part of the video that's a little boring to you or not interesting, or that you understand already and don't want to hear again. I often repeat myself as a tutorial element for those who are beginners, because not everybody is as expert so as you are. There are folks that are just learning this game and want to understand it, and I do need to do my due diligence to help all folks enjoy this wonderful game. So my apologies for repetitiveness, redundancy. I just, as a habit as a YouTuber, I'm always redundant to repeat things so that people don't miss it. And we're going to close our deck list. I neglected to go into my talents. That would take another hour. It's okay. Again, I can't often do both. Now, I'd like Dawncaster to be a lot longer. And in that way, I'd have series that went on for like 30, 40 hours. Because I actually really want Dawncaster to add more levels. I'd really love to see them do that. I'd really love to see them add expanded levels. Like after you beat the final boss, I wish there were some endless modes, or there were some dungeons and some delves like that. That would be really, really cool. Okay, so anima is a new principle. Don't ask me what it is. I'm learning it.
The matriarch of the
It's interesting. It's kind of like an anti-magic. It's like it's life and death magic, and I don't understand it really fully. Okay, so that's the final boss. Looks like we might get a boss battle. I don't know how well I'm going to do against her. I think my deck is strong, but you never know. The only bad thing about my deck is it lacks really heavy punch, and it doesn't really have consistent damage. It has very heavy defense, though. I am appreciative of its defense, but I am not so appreciative of its damage. I actually have been trying to get rid of certain cards and add a little bit more punchier elements. What tends to happen with the Seeker is you've got to be a little tricky
animated by
and a little elusive, because you just don't have like the Hunter Rockstar damage levels or the Warrior Brittle attacks.
Animated by lingering on use weapon power trank. Use weapon character info. Use weapon power.
Let me kill all these other
character player gold 660. Player
so
health
we can
99.
warm up a little bit. Let's kill that.
Campsite a brief respite from the perils of adventure. Campsite a brief rest. Campfire a warm fire. Remove a card. Heal
Okay,
20%.
we're at 99
Rest.
health,
22
so we're
health.
pretty good in
Exploration.
health.
Area status.
We might want to
Stats
top
21
off
post
to
game vertical
max.
line number sign. Area special. Star 5 number sign vertical line
Let's
maximum
top
health.
off.
You lose. Area special. Maximum health. Dealing settings. Area status.
Here we go.
Area status. Area status.
All right, we're
misery,
at
matriarch.
max
Howling Inspector. This ghostly
health.
figure appears. Enemy aura. Aura of entropy. Start. Howling
And our
Inspector. This ghostly
special
figure appears in great pain.
ability
Howling
allows
Inspector.
us
This
to get
you
all
gain
our
Chrome's
health
recipe
back.
enchantment. Enemy gains Anima enchantment. You gain Ire of Serum Peck enchantment. You gain Arcane Ward enchantment. Enemy gains Aura of Entropy enchantment. Enemy gains Spectral Detonation enchantment. You gain 1 Anger stat.
Let's kill this
You gain 1
Howling
Burning
Spectre.
stats. You gain
It's
1
not
Ward
too
stats.
hard.
Your turn. Cursed Cauldron. Neutral 2. Activate to transmute a card into a cursed card of a higher rarity. Deplete. Inflict a hex. 2 durability. Cursed. Memorized. Equipment. Uncommon. Transmute. Transmuting a card permanently converts it into a random card of the same color with a higher rarity. Hex. Hexes are powerful effects that debilitate foes in different ways. Durability. The number of times equipment can be activated before it's depleted for the remainder of combat. Unique. You can only play 1 card with this name per combat. All enchantments are unique. Cursed. Cursed cards can't be transmuted or removed from your deck.
All right, so yeah, some of these cards have very long explanations. I love it. Again, that's what makes this game so fun. Cards are so complex, so unique. Again, Cursed Cauldron, what I'm trying to do with Cursed Cauldron is get its cost down to 0. And then ultimately, on my
20,
experimental
Search of intellect.
list is to see if it can consume some of these cards that I can't get rid of by conventional means.
Artifact. Legendary. Treasure. This card. Centaur's Truth. Dexant 1. Player status. Burning. Stacks 1 at the end of the turn. Take 1 damage per stack of burning.
Okay, I got Cursed Puzzle Box ready to go. Oh, I don't have a potion. I was hoping I had a potion so that I can remove that Cursed Puzzle Box cost and get a 0 cost under Cursed Puzzle Box, and then put Cursed Puzzle Box 0 cost onto Cursed Cauldron. Unfortunately, it looks like what we're going to have to do is just lower
Cursed Puzzle Box enchantment. Select card.
Cursed Cauldron's cost. So let me activate Cursed Puzzle Box.
Centaur's Truth. Dexant 1. After you draw 3 additional cards in a turn, gain 10 barrier and advance. Memorized. Path. Player status. Burning. Stacks. Centaur's. Search of Shamshare.
I'm going to lower that cost down
Activate to transmute
to 1.
Shamshare. Plus 20. Neutral
So
1.
now
Deal. Search of
Cursed
Shamshare.
Cauldron's
Plus
going to
20.
cost us
Character info.
half the price.
Shamshare. Plus 20. Neutral 1. Deal star 24 star damage agile. Add 2 damage and attack again. Ambush.
Gonna activate that.
Memorized. Melee basic attack. Search of intellect. Gain INT and 1. You gain 1 focus stacks.
All right.
Player status. Burning. Stack.
Okay, the bad thing is I forgot to
After
do
you draw 3 additional cards in a turn, you gain
That's my
Centaur's Truth
most
enchantment.
powerful Shamshire. I'm going to just not worry about it. I'm going to activate Centaur's Truth. Centaur's Truth. I'm sorry. I know I'm saying it slightly lazy. It's Centaur. So Centaur's Truth is, again, a path card. And if you do what it says to do, you will get the card to become more and more powerful, up to 3 times. Okay, whenever I lose ambush, I have several cards in my deck that can
Character
reactivate
info.
ambush. So
Shamshir.
I am
Enemy
not
takes
really
24 damage.
worried
Player
if I
status.
forget to
Burning.
do an
Stacks
ambush.
1 at the end of the turn.
All right,
Take
I'm
1
going to
damage
go
per stack
ahead and
of
just hit him
character
because
info.
it still
End turn.
does a pretty decent amount of
You take 1
damage
damage.
even
End of
without
turn.
ambush.
Enemy playing card. Agonizing Howl. Terror added to your deck. Agonizing Howl. Terror added to your deck. Your turn. End turn.
In my turn. So my opponent is a terror mage. It wants to put a lot of terrors in my deck, and I am going to convert those cards into weird things with my Cursed Cauldron. So one of the things that Cursed Cauldron can do is you can pick up and pluck things like Snare, Terror, weird cards like Envy, Wrath, and Cursed Cauldron is so powerful it can convert those cards sometimes into advantageously more powerful cards. Because remember, some of the cards that hurt you are actually legendaries, and that's where Cursed Cauldron comes in handy. Again, it's one of my experiments. I don't know yet what it's going to really truly do for me, but I had a lot of fun with it when we were doing the Witching Hour. Ah, that coffee's so good with a little bit of milk. We have a little bit of yak milk. You know, we don't have any cows out here. You know, it's not the kind of world.
Player
We have
energy.
demonic goats out here in
Gain
Yaks.
3 armor shift into form of the very
we're
few in
drinking their
Shamshir.
milk. So,
Plus 9. Bonus.
you know, we
Neutral
don't have
1. Deal
we
start
don't
with
have
enemy takes
cows
12
and
damage.
stuff
You
running
gain 1
around here
evasion
out in
stacks.
Godskar waste. Fur hide. Let's activate Shamshir. Yeah, I want to get my evasion up. Again, when you're getting to these more difficult zones, if you're going to be playing an evasion deck, minimum number of evasions I would have up every turn is 3.
Desert Rush.
Your enemies all have at least 3 to 4 actions per turn.
You gain Desert Rush enchantment. Select card. Quick adaptation. Dex in 1. Permanently replace a card in your deck with 1 of your opponent's cards. Life Pod. Dex in 1. Sandblast. Dex in 1. Life Pod. Quick adaptation.
All right, let's
Dex in
get
1. Permanently replace a card in your deck with 1 of your
Desert
cards. You gain 3
Russia.
momentum stacks.
Oh, yeah. I might want to do that. Let's go with... I'm going to go
Character
with
info.
quick
Hide.
adaptation.
Gain 3 armor shift. You gain 3
Because
armor
I'm
stacks.
still
You gain
looking
form
for
of the very
more
enchantment.
powerful offensive cards.
Potion of
I
Alacrity.
still feel this
Neutral
deck
1.
is a
1
little
use.
slow
Gain 3
and it
haste.
needs a
You
little
gain 3
bit
haste
more
stacks.
punchiness.
End turn. Character. Surge of Dexterity. Gain
Activate
quick
Fur
adaptation.
Hide.
Permanently replace a card in your deck. Shamshir. Neutral 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Add 2 damage and attack again.
Get
Ambush.
that.
Gain evasion. Melee basic attack. Common. Evasion. When dealt melee damage, reduce the first damage taken to 0, then decrease evasion by 1. Evasion fades at the start of the turn. Ambush. Ambush the player status. Armor. Stacks 3 when dealt damage. Take 1 less damage per
I
stack
have
of
no
armor.
idea
Armor
why
fades at the
these
start of the turn.
low-level Shamshirs are coming up. Okay, one of my effects is making these really weak Shamshirs. I don't know which one of my talents or learned abilities or skills is doing that. It's not a big deal, but it gets in my way. And you don't want to waste energy on weak attacks. So if your deck is creating
Neutral
weak
1. Deal 3 damage
basic
agile. Add 2
attacks,
damage. Player status.
there's
Armor. Stacks the player
nothing
status.
much you can
Haste.
do,
Stacks
but it's
player status.
also a
Burning.
prime
Stacks 1 at the end
opportunity
of player status.
to
Form of the bear.
convert
Whenever you
those
discard player
cards.
status. Centaur's Truth. Stack player status. Arcane Ward. And arcane player status. Chrome's Recipe. Stacks 1 this combat. After you play 4 player status. Cursed Cauldron. Stacks. Select card. Shamshir. Neutral 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Shamshir. Shamshir. Neutral 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Add 2 damage and attack again. Ambush. Select card. Caltrops. Neutral 1. This round. Inflict 3 piercing damage and 1 bleeding when your foe plays an action. Persistent. Cursed. Item. Uncommon. Bleed.
Yeah, I'm
Juggling
gonna
balls.
turn this
Neutral 2. Activate to
cheap
discard a card.
Shamshir into
Perform
something.
equal to its cost, then draw a card. Deplete. Rogues Locket. Neutral 1. Gain dex and evasion while this is in your
Oh.
deck. Rewards include cards that cost dex.
Turn into
Cursed.
Caltrops.
Item. Uncommon. Evasion.
Caltrops.
When dealt melee damage. Reduce the first damage taken to 0.
I can
then decrease
get a
evasion by 1.
performance.
Evasion fades at the start of the turn.
Or I can get another Rogue's Locket. That's pretty cool. That isn't a bad card to take. I would prefer Caltrops because Caltrops, because it does a lot of bleed.
New player
It's kind of
status. Cursed
passive.
Cauldron. Stacks 1
But
activate to
then
transmute a card
Rogue's
into a cursed card of a higher
Locket is
rarity.
going to give me
Player
a
status.
lot more
Player status.
energy
Quick
and
adaptation.
evasion. So I'm going to
Permanently
take
replace a player status. Armor.
I'm gonna take
Stacks 3
Rogue's Locket.
player status. Haste. Stacks player quick adaptation. Character info.
All right, so I can quick adapt the opponent's deck, but remember, be careful with quick adaptation. It does require you to destroy one of your cards in your deck. If you don't have any cards you want to destroy, don't play quick adaptation. All right, so be careful. It's a tricky card to use right, and I can't tell you how many times I've, well, it's been about 5 times, that I've totally destroyed my deck with it. I'm going to go ahead and check my deck real quick to make sure I don't have any, if I have anything I want to get rid of.
Gain 3 regenerate, cloak of sand. Gain swiftness, gain 2 momentum, reset your ambush. Cursed. Action, deep study. Dexent 2, draw a card, repeat. Dervish. Dexent 1, make a basic attack, repeat for every stack of momentum. 3, Doomsday. Add a terror to your foe's deck. Healing potion. 1 use. Gain 10 health if you are below 50% health. Life pod. Dexent 1, nihilism. Neutral 1, inflict 13 doom, increase the effect of your aura of entropy by 1. Action. No. Dex 1, reduce the poison coating. Dex 1, this combat. Rogue's Locket. Neutral 1, gain Dex and Sandblast. Neutral 1, deal 3 damage agile. Gain Rogue's Locket. Neutral 1, gain Dex and evasion while this is in your deck. Rewards include cards that cost Dex. Cursed. Item. Uncommon. Evasion. Sandblast. Neutral 1, deal 3 damage Sandblast. Dexent 1, deal 3 damage agile. Gain 3 momentum and interrupt.
I could get rid of Rogue's Locket because I just got it.
Whenever you Shamshare.
I do have cards I can get rid of.
Plus 11. View deck.
I do want to get rid of one of these Sandblasts. Now, I'm not sure if I can get rid of it. Okay, so again, if you've been playing a few cards in the turn, bonus pro tip number 12, you can't see your whole deck, so you'll need to check your discarded cards. If you're doing an evaluation of your deck in the middle of combat, you're going to have to look in 2 different places. You're going to have to look in your deck that hasn't been played yet, and you're going to have to look at the cards in your hand, as well as the cards you've already played. Don't forget there are cards that are removed from combat.
17.
You have to consider that also.
Player energy, deck.
So if you're going to be evaluating your deck, it might be better to do it when you're not in combat.
Show deck. Current player health 107. Show deck. Player energy. End turn. Character info. Quick adaptation. Permanent.
I'm gonna go ahead and play with quick adaptation.
Neutral 1.
I know it's
deal 4
risky,
damage
but I'm
twice.
gonna try.
Inflict 1 sicken for each hit. Reaping. Melee action. Monster. Sicken. While sicken, you lose 1 random energy at the start of your turn. Lasts 1 round per stack. Reaping. Reaping lowers the target's maximum health equal to the damage it deals. On hit, requires the attack to have hit the target and dealt damage. Agonizing Howl. Neutral 1. Dispel a blessing, add 1 terrors to your foe's deck. Action. Monster. Dispel. Removes a blessing from the target. Terror. On draw. Gain vertical line number sign. Round number. Star. Difficulty number sign. Vertical line doom inflicts difficulty additional doom for every turn that has passed.
Okay, so we have 2 choices. These are both very, very juicy. Great for our Dr. Doom deck. Quick Adaptation is a great card for a Dr. Doom deck because you want to take all the Doom cards you can find in a game. Of course, we are using a bit of Doom in this deck, so we might want to steal that Doom card because it looks juicy. Of course, that Reaping card is a very powerful aspect. Basically, it lowers the enemy's max hit points, and it's useful. I played decks that Reap. Reap can be a very powerful principle and structure. Of course, it takes a bit of practice to implement it. I'm going to go ahead and steal that Doom card. I like
Melee
it.
basic attack. Common. Sandblast. Neutral 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Gain 3 momentum and interrupt. Cursed. Magic. Aries reflection.
Now that I've selected a card to steal from my opponent, I must
gain 3
remove one
regenerate
of my
poison
cards.
coating. Dex 1. Nihilism. Neutral 1. Inflict 13 alter memory. Dexent 1. A healing potion. 1 use. Gain 10 health. Shamshare. Plus 11. Dervish. Dexent 1. Deep study. Dexent 2. The cloak of sand. Gain swiftness. Gain 2 momentum. Reset your ambush. No. Dex 1. Life pod. Dexent 1. Sandblast. Dexent 1. Deal 3 damage. Rogue's Locket. Neutral 1. Sandblast. Dexent 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Gain 3 momentum and interrupt. Cursed. Magic action. Common. Momentum. Whenever you have 5 or more momentum, remove all stack. Rogue's Locket. Neutral 1. Gain Dex and evasion while this is in your deck. Rewards in
I might want to get
Neutral 1. Rogue's
Sandblast.
Locket. Sandblast. Dexent 1. Deal 3 damage agile. Rogue's Locket. Sandblast.
I might want to get
Dexent
rid of
1.
Sandblast.
Deal 3 damage agile. Gain 3 momentum and interrupt. Cursed.
Or get rid of Rogue's Locket.
Dexent 1. Area status. Anima. Stacks 21 foes gain vertical line number sign. Area special. Star 5 number sign vertical line maximum health. You lose. Area special. Maximum health. Dealing reaping. Area status. Ire of Serum Pack. Player status. Armor. Stacks 3 when dealt damage. Take 1 less damage per stack of armor.
Curse
Armor fades
cards
at the start of
with
the
this
turn.
ability. Ooh, that is so powerful. Okay, I'm really liking Adaptation. It's one of the few ways I can get rid of
Player
curse
status.
cards.
Case.
Because as you know, curse cards cannot be
Player
removed
status.
from
Burning.
campsites.
Stacks 1 at the end of the turn.
So,
Take 1 damage per stack of burning. Player status.
Pro
Player
tip
health 100.
13,
Show death.
be
Player
aware
energy. End
that
turn.
curse cards are
You
really
take
hard
1
to get
damage.
rid of.
Enemy turn. Enemy
Gotta have
playing
some
card.
alternative
Spectral Claw.
methods.
You block the damage. You block the
All right,
damage.
we're good.
Spectral
I
Claw.
like-
You take
I
1
love
damage.
that.
You gain
Let's
1
end our
second
turn.
stacks. You take 4 damage. You gain 1 second stacks. Your turn. You heal 3 health. End turn.
You know, that Sicken is really annoying, and I might wanna get Sicken because Sicken is so broken because you're taking away their and I guess you're taking away their special abilities that they've gotten from their weapons and cards.
Character info.
I forgot
Share.
enchantments.
+9.
It's
Bonus.
their
Enemy
blessings.
takes 14
You take
damage.
away their
Enemy
blessings.
takes 14
So
damage. You
good
gain 1 evasion
against really
stacks.
powerful
Enemy takes 5 damage. Enemy takes 5 damage.
who use a
Ares
lot of
Reflection.
blessings.
After you
Obviously.
foretell 6 or more, you gain Ares Reflection enchantment. Doomsday. Add a terror to your foe's deck. Cleansing Waters. Doomsday. Terror added to enemy deck. Cleansing Waters. Cleanse an affliction. Bottled message. Cleansing Waters. Bottled message. 1 use. Conjure a random free card and change the tide.
Ares Reflection.
Item. Uncommon. Player status. Bottled message. 1 use.
get
Conjure a random free
Doomsday
card and change the
up.
tide. Item. Uncommon. 1 use. This card will be permanently removed from
Let's
your deck after
Cleansing
playing it.
Water.
Tides. Cards with
That's
the
gonna
ebb or flow
give me
property swap to
3
their counterpart whenever the
regenerate.
tide changes.
Because of Chrome's recipe, I get a free potion. Every 4 times I use a curse card, I get a free potion. And I really love Bottled Message because Bottled Message can sometimes drop some really legendary or artifact level, what they call, trying to think of the word. Basically expendable cards, like cards and consumables. So yeah, and one of them is the one that gives you persistence. Sometimes it can give you reliable. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Double check me, fact check me on that one. But yeah, I love the bottle. It's a mixed bag of tricks, but everything you get from the bottle is free. And it can be a very powerful ally. It's random, so there's a big RNG factor.
Sandblast.
RNGs are very, the
Conjure a random
RNG
free card and change the
principle
tide.
is very, very
Item.
important
Uncommon.
to
1 use.
roguelikes.
This card. Sandblast.
Because
Bonus.
it's
Deal
what
3 damage agile.
brings
Gain
the
3 momentum and interrupt.
replayability into
Curse.
place.
Enemy takes 3 damage. You gain 3 momentum stacks.
Let's interrupt.
Character info. Forged in fire. Create a
Again,
battle
I
sphere.
am very
Upgrade all untempered
inexperienced
cards for
with
each health you gain this
interrupt.
turn.
I don't
3.
always know
Divine
what
action.
that does.
Legendary.
I assume you're interrupting their flow or interrupting a spell they're charging.
Character forged in
Oh,
fire.
that's cool.
Create a battle spear. Upgrade all
I'm
untempered
not
cards
going to
for
be
each health
doing
you gain
any
this turn. 3.
forging,
Divine action.
but you know,
Poison
I'd like
coating.
to
This combat. Inflict
put
3 poison
this
whenever. Player
forged
status.
card
Evasion.
into
Stacks
my
1 when player
cauldron.
status. Sicken. Player status. Ares Reflection. Player status. Form of the Bear. Whenever you player status. Centaur's Truth. Player status. Arcane Ward. And Arcane
Let's
player
put,
status. Chrome's Recipe. Stacks 2. Player status. Cursed Cauldron. Stacks 1. Select card. Forged in fire. Create a battle spear. Upgrade all untempered cards
Let's
for each health.
go.
Select card. Salvation. In STR2. Your demon form does not harm you. During your foe's next turn, your health can't be reduced below your anger. Unique. Defile. Cursed. Action.
Let's go ahead
Legendary.
and convert
Anger. Increases
this
the damage dealt by
Forged in
actions by
Fire.
1 per stack of anger. Unique. You can only play 1 card with this name per combat. All enchantments are unique. Defile. Toxic Bloom. Dex STR3. Slay a foe with less maximum
I
health
wanna
and poison
play with
residue.
the demon
Permanently
deck.
gain 1
It
maximum health.
sounds so
Upgradeable.
fun.
Cursed. Magic action. Salvation. Toxic Bloom. Dex STR3. Slay a foe with less maximum health and poison execute. Permanently gain 1 maximum health. Upgradeable. Cursed. Magic action. Legendary. Poison. After playing a card, take 1 damage, then decrease poison by 1. When gaining health, prevent 1 health per stack and reduce poison by 1 for each health prevented. Upgradeable. This card can be upgraded and improves the card in unusual ways. Slay. Slay triggers when a foe is brought to exactly 0 health.
I've never played Toxic. No, I have. I've never played it well or understood it, but this is an interesting card, and this is where the Cursed Cauldron becomes really fun. It makes these weird cards.
Avatar of Blight. Dex 3.
I
This
am
combat. Gain
dabbling
Dex
a
when you
little bit
inflict
with
poison
poison
dex.
in
Gain
this
1
deck,
potency.
so this
Curse.
isn't exactly
Enchantment.
where
Legendary.
I'm heading.
Poison. After
in my
playing a
deck,
card, take 1 damage,
like,
then decrease poison by 1.
schematic,
When gaining
I
health,
might play
prevent
with
1
it.
health per stack and reduce poison by 1 for each health prevented. Unique. You can only play 1 card with this name per combat. All enchantments are unique.
This is a powerful card. Whenever I inflict poison, I get Dex. Whenever I get Dex, I get Dex. Super broken. I 100% feel we should take this card. This really fits our deck style, which is to have zero
Toxic bloom.
cost and
Salvation.
everything.
Imp STR2.
Having more
Your demon
energy
form does not
means
harm you.
zero
Or
cost.
toxic bloom. Dex
That's a
STR3.
very,
Play
so
a foe with
again,
less
that's
maximum
what
health
the
and poison
card is
execute.
so
Permanently gain 1
goddamn
maximum health.
powerful. It
Upgradeable.
just
Curse.
makes up
Magic
cards.
action. Legendary. Poison. After playing a card, take Avatar of Blight. Dex 3. This combat. Gain Dex when you inflict poison Dex. Gain 1 potency. Player's enemy gains Hex of Wounding enchantment.
1 maximum health isn't going to make a big difference. I'm going to take Avatar of Blight. Ooh, I like that Avatar of Blight. And I don't use much energy in my day-to-day, turn-to-turn playing, so... And I can easily use the Cursed Puzzle Box to make this Avatar of Blight card 0 cost, or a very, like, non-substantial 1 neutral energy. I have lots of ways to convert cards energy, and that's the fun of this game.
Poison
Rick has
coding.
made it so
Player
that
health 100.
whatever
Show deck.
energy
Player
you
energy.
like
Dex.
playing
3 in,
with,
1.
you
End
can
turn.
change your card to use that energy.
Character info.
And
Poison
that's
coding.
really a
You
really
gain poison
fun
coding
principle
enchantment.
of the game.
Player status. Sickened. Stacks 1 while. Player status. Poison coding. This player status. Sickened. Stacks 1 while sickened. Character
I have a
info.
lot of energy.
End turn.
Let's use up some of it.
Enemy turn. Enemy gained 1 bleeding
Poison
stacks. Enemy playing
coding
cards.
activated.
Gain. Enemy gained 1 evasion stacks. Enemy heals 32. Agonizing howl. Terror added to your deck. Your turn. You heal 3 health.
Let's enter turn. Okay, yeah, he's a healer.
Character info.
There's
Nihilism.
a reason
Neutral
why
1.
you gotta
Inflict
have
15 doom. Increase
poison.
the effect
At
of
the
ultra
end of the
memory.
game,
Dex int 1.
many
Choose the healing
enemies
potion.
can heal
1 use. Gain
half their
chance share.
health, sometimes
Plus 11.
all their
Bonus.
health.
Enemy has evaded his
You've
attack.
got to be
you gained
able
1
to
evasion
stop
stacks.
that.
Player status. Poison coding. This dervish. Dex int 1. Make a basic healing potion. 1 use. Gain 10 health. Ultra memory. Dex int 1. Nihilism. Neutral 1.
Shamshir,
Enemy gain 13
no.
doom stacks.
He's got evasion and healing. It's annoying. Let's go nihilism. Just try to
Healing potion.
whittle down
Dervish.
his
Dex
defenses.
int 1.
You're,
Make a basic
you're
attack
never
repeat for every
gonna,
stack of momentum.
you
0.
gotta get a
Persistent.
momentum
Curse.
going before
Action.
you can really
Common.
take down
Momentum.
an enemy
Whenever you
who
have 5 or
heals
more
a
moments.
lot.
Player
This
status.
enemy
Poison
heals a
coding.
lot.
Player status. Ares reflection. After player status. Form of the bear. Whenever player status. Centaur's true.
My
Player
dervish
status.
is not gonna
Arcane
do
lord.
much, and that's-
player status.
I don't
Crohn's recipe.
care if my
Stacks 3. Player
dervish
status.
goes away.
Evasion. Stacks 1. Area status. Anima. Stacks 21. Player status. Ultra memory. Player health 98.
Okay, let's enter turn. Oh yeah, I could do an altered memory.
Player health 98.
Which is
Show
fine.
deck.
I've been
Player
playing
energy.
with
End
it.
turn. You gain 3 armor stacks. You gain 3 armor
I
stacks.
might
Enemy turn.
do
Enemy gained 1 bleeding
it,
stacks. Enemy playing cards.
maybe.
Agonizing howl. Terror added to your deck. Spectral claw.
now,
you
I'm
block the
gonna
damage.
stop. I'm
You
not
take 2
gonna do
damage. You gained 1 second stacks. Enemy takes 11 damage.
Center turn.
Your turn. You heal 3 health. I've reached my maximum energy. Character info. Dervish. Dex int 1. Make a deep study. Dex int 2. The cloak of sand. Gain swiftness. Gain 2 momentum.
That sicken
Dex
is
1.
really
Life
annoying.
pod. Dex int 1. No.
Yeah, we're at max
Dex,
energy.
Life
We
pod.
need to
Rogue
start
Locket.
getting
Neutral
cards
1.
here.
Gain Dex and evasion while this life pod. Dex int 1. You gain 3 regenerate stacks. You gain life pod enchantment. No. Dex 1. You gain no enchantment. Cloak of sand.
Life pod.
Gain swiftness. Gain 2 you gain 1 swiftness stacks. You gain 2 momentum stacks. Deep study.
Defense,
Dex int
note,
2.
blocks
Dervish.
all.
Bonus. Dex
1
int 1.
incoming
Make a basic
damage and
enemy takes
reduces
5
it to
damage.
1
Enemy
point
gain 3
damage.
poison stacks. Enemy takes 2 damage. Enemy gain 3 poison stacks.
Get some
you gain 1 evasion
swiftness
stacks.
up
Enemy takes 5
here.
damage. Enemy gain 3 enemy takes 1 enemy gain 3 poison stacks. You gain 1
Dervish
evasion
is
stacks.
up. Let's
Enemy takes
run
5 damage.
Dervish.
Enemy takes 5 damage. Enemy gain 3 poison stacks. Enemy gain
Little
3
bit of
poison stacks.
damage.
You gained 1 evasion stacks. Enemy takes 5
Dervish
damage.
is a little
Enemy takes 5 damage.
underwhelming.
Deep study. Dex int 2. Draw a card. Repeat until you draw a non-memorized card. Action. Rare.
Okay, that time Dervish did good.
Rogue's Locket. Neutral 1. Gain
I would say
potion. You gain
Dervish
1
put
evasion
on
stacks.
about 10
Player status.
stacks
Regenerate.
of poison.
Potion of vision.
See, that's why
1
I
use.
keep
Draw 3
Dervish.
cards.
It's
You
a
gain
good
5 doom
poison
stacks.
spreader.
Avatar of Blight. Dex 3. This combat. Gain Dex when you inflict you gain Avatar of Blight enchantment.
Oh,
Player
I got
status.
some
Arcane
doom.
Lord.
You
And
want to
player
doom
status.
me?
Crohn's
You
recipe.
think that
Player
bothers
status.
me?
Regenerate. Player status. Swiftness.
Oh, there's my
player
avatar.
status. Momentum. Stack. Player status.
got
Evasion.
Avatar of
Stack. Player
Blight
status.
up.
Doom.
That's a great
Stacks. Player
enchantment.
status. Avatar of Blight. This combat. Gain Dex when you inflict poison Dex. Gain 1 potency.
Oh, great. I really feel Avatar of Blight was a huge
study.
bonus
Dex
to our
2.
deck.
Agonizing Howl.
Gives us
Neutral 1.
more
Dispel a
damage.
blessing, add 1 terrorist
Now,
to your
the
foe's deck.
damage we're
Terror
kind
added
of
to enemy
doing
deck.
is passive, but potency, if you're going to be passive in your damage, potency is your best friend.
Player status. Arcane. Terror. On draw. Gain 5 Doom. Character info. End turn. Character info. Deep study.
Agonizing
Dex
Howl,
player
I think,
status.
is our
Arcane
new
Deep
card.
study. I don't have enough
like
energy
it.
to play this card. Character info. End turn. You gain 3 armor stacks. You take 2 damage. Enemy turn. Enemy gained 1 bleeding stacks. Enemy playing card.
let's deep
Agonizing
study.
Howl. Enemy takes 1 damage. Terror added to your deck.
Okay, we ran out of
Fate.
energy
Enemy
'cause
takes
we had
1
to get
damage.
rid of that
Enemy gained
terror.
1 evasion stacks. Enemy heals 22. Your turn. You heal 3 health. You heal 3 health. You gain 6 doom stacks. You heal 20 health.
He's
Player
healing
energy.
so
Show deck.
much.
Current cards in deck. 17. Player end turn.
Okay, we healed
Character,
too.
Surge of dexterity.
He's not hurting
Terror.
us, so we're healing a lot, but
Bonus.
he's also
Doomsday.
healing. So
Add a terror
we
to your
gotta
foe's deck.
break
A cloak
the
of sand.
standoff.
Gain swift player status. Arcane War. Cloak of sand. Doomsday. Terror added to enemy deck. Cloak of sand. Gain swiftness. Gain 2 you gain 1 swiftness stacks. You gain 2 momentum. Player status. Diamond potion. 1 use. Gain 1 impervious. Draw a card. Item. Uncommon. You gained 1 impervious stacks. Character info. Surge of dexterity. Terror. On draw. Gains for hide. Bonus. You gain 3 armor stacks. You gain 2 anger stacks. Shamshir.
Let's
Neutral
do
1. Deal star 5 star damage agile. Player status. Crohn's Shamshir. Neutral 1. Dervish. Bonus. Dexant 1. You gain 1 potency
Okay, we're
stacks.
starting to get
Enemy has evaded
anger.
this attack.
Yeah,
Enemy
that
takes 5
anger's
damage.
really
Enemy gain 3
important.
poison stacks. Enemy takes 2 damage. Enemy gain 3 poison stacks.
Okay.
Enemy takes 5 damage. Enemy gain 3 poison stacks. Enemy takes 5 damage.
Oh, we
Enemy
got a
gain 3 poison
dervish up.
stacks. Enemy takes 5 damage. Terror. Shamshir. Or terror. Shamshir. Neutral 1. Deal star 5 character info. Shamshir. Neutral 1. Deal star 5 star damage agile.
Okay,
Add 2
we were
damage and
able to
attack
put
again.
12
Love
stacks
potion.
of poison.
1 use.
That's
Enemy
really
gain 5
good.
charm stacks. Glimmer added to enemy deck.
Let's get rid of terror. Oh, I should have
Shamshir. Neutral 1.
called her
Deal
into
blocker.
terror.
Neutral 1. You gained 1 potency stacks. You gained 1 evasion stacks.
That's fine.
Shamshir. Neutral 1.
I can
Deal
also
star 5 star
throw
damage
that
agile.
love
Add 2
potion in.
character
You know,
info.
you'd be surprised
Shamshir.
what you can make
Neutral
with the
1.
cursed
Deals
cauldron.
player status. Regenerate. Stacks 2 at the start of the turn. Gain 1 health per
Let's
stack and decrease
activate
regenerate by 1.
that. Okay, I'm gonna.
Shamshir. A character info. End turn.
I'm gonna.
You gain 3 armor stacks.
I could
Enemy
convert
turn.
that
Enemy gained 1 bleeding
Shamshir.
stacks.
I could
Enemy playing
convert
cards.
that
Spectral
Shamshir.
claw. Enemy takes
I'm
3
gonna
damage. You block the damage. You block the
save it
damage.
for
Spectral
something
claw.
else.
Enemy takes 3 damage. You take 2 damage. You gain 1 second stacks. You take 4 damage. You gain 1 second stacks. Your turn. You heal 2 health. You heal 3
I
health.
only have so
I've reached
many
my
uses
maximum
of
energy.
that
I've reached my
cauldron.
maximum energy. I've reached my maximum energy.
Okay, when you hear it repeat, I've reached my maximum energy, which is really very helpful, and I thank Rick so much. Simple gratitude that voiceover works so well in this game. And it's the developer really has embraced accessibility. They have made it so that you know everything, and it also syncs with the game. So there's a lot of accessibility in games. However, not all accessibility is easy and seamless. So what Rick does is if something says something, it fits in the game. You're not disconnecting. And that's what I like about his accessibility. So when you hear, boom, you got energy, boom, you got energy, it feels like you're in one of those cool arcade games from the 1980s. And I love that. That's my jam, dude. I may be a experienced gentleman, but I am a refined gentleman. And mind you, I love when things tell me what's going on. It's like playing Mortal Kombat or playing Street Fighter or playing one of those really awesome arcade games where the speakers are rumbling in your ears and you kind of are told what's going on, you know? I love that.
Character info.
Okay, so
Shamshir. Plus 11.
he's
Bonus.
not going to hurt
Enemy
us,
takes 18 damage.
but I'm
Enemy
all
gained 3 poison
concerned
stacks.
about his
Enemy
healing.
takes 3 damage.
Once
Enemy
we can
gained 3
break
poison
his
stacks.
healing
I've reached
down,
my
then
maximum
we can
energy.
start
You gained
working
1
on
evasion
him.
stacks. Enemy takes 18 damage.
Or her, or them.
No. Dex 1. Reduce the nihilism. Neutral 1. Inflict 13. You gained 1 potency stacks. Enemy gained 13 doom stacks.
Okay, I got pretty good hit on him, and I put 6 more stacks of poison. My doom is also whittling him down slowly. Of course, what I need to do is get a cross damaging effect on him. So either potency needs to build up Or when I give him Doom, I need Doom to also cause poison, which in turn will cause more damage, which in turn will activate another card like Bleed. So you need to have cards that correlate
Player status.
and
The player
have
status.
a symbiosis.
Shamshire.
That's
+9.
very
Bonus.
important.
You gain 1 potency
in
stats.
Dawncaster.
Enemy takes 16 damage.
Cards
Enemy
need
gain
to
3
work
poison stats.
together.
Enemy takes
They
16
need to
damage.
promote
Enemy
each
gain
other.
3 poison
It's
stats.
very,
Next.
very important. Got him. See, once he couldn't keep up with my damage, and again, this is a deck that starts building up. And because I'm constantly cleaning my deck up, making it stronger, more efficient, the enemies often can't beat my human intelligence. Now, Rick has compensated for the fact that human intelligence is almost impossible to stop. Because a lot of the enemies have patterns, and those patterns are very dangerous. And if you make one mistake, you lose. So the way he's made it so that you can't always beat every enemy is because RNG, number one. Number two, mistakes, which is the human factor. And number three, luck, which is kind of RNG, but a little different. If your opponent gets a really lucky hand, you're going to be behind. You can't always
Character info. Player gold
always predict your
665.
hand. You can
Player
make
gold
your
600.
hand
Area
nearly
status. Player health 78.
90%
Show deck.
predictable,
Next.
but you can't make
You
it
gain 6 gold. Skip
100% predictable.
Area status.
Okay.
Enemy status. Get shred. Dex int 1. Deal 3 damage. Shift into form of the cat if you were in form of the cat. Your next attack inflicts a critical hit. Melee action. Common.
Let's get our
Sand.
rewards.
Gain swiftness. Gain 2 momentum. Reset your ambush. Action. Common. Swiftness. Heal Hall. Dex 1.
Okay, we got
Inflict 1
Shred.
dragon. Title. Gain Sinister. 0 Sinister. Persistent.
I
Add
don't
action.
like
Common.
Shred.
Sinister. Sinister cards get more powerful for each other. Sinister.
I definitely
Enemy status.
don't
Anima.
want
Stacks
any more
46
sand
gain. Area
cards.
status. Player health 78. Show deck.
Kill Hall
Skip
is a
rewards.
great pirate card. If you haven't played with pirate cards, I'll be showing you how to do that. None of those are good. I'm going to skip it. I'm going to skip those rewards. There wasn't really anything great there I saw. Sand
Show deck.
card,
Skip rewards.
Kill Hall card, which is
Exploration.
basically
Use weapon
for
power
those
tranquil.
of you who are
Use weapon
running
power tranquil weapon.
sinister
Use your weapon
decks.
power to return to your maximum
Still
health.
haven't really successfully found a sinister deck that I like. Let's skip rewards.
Michael, here is your reminder. Michael, time to record.
Alexa, stop. All right, looks like we're just about out of time for our early record, and then it's time for me to kind of get working on some of my videos. I need to get my stream edited and ready for our live on Saturday. So I actually have been recording for almost 2 hours. Let me kind of end this video with a thought, which is when you are playing these unique deck styles like Shamshir, and you're in some places like the Godskar Waste, it's not really important to win as it is more important to understand your deck and your cards. Understand what makes you a winner. That's the principle I want to leave you with. Understand what makes you a winner is how you get better at this game. If you understand that, every deck you make is going to be a winner because you know what principles are required to win. If that kind of logic makes sense to you, circular kind of logic, but that's just kind of how it is. But thank you very much, folks, for coming. I know we basically only did one fight and we basically chatted, but hence that's why this is possibly, as I said, a TCG Thursday kind of deck thing where we kind of get into theory, or it's on Sunday and you're just chilling, enjoying a cup of tea, coffee, water, hint, hint, wink, wink, not so. But yeah, I've also got to get into some more recording today. I don't know what I'm going to record for sure. I think I'm going to edit one of my series, and then I am going to try to finish this Seeker deck. Do I think I'm going to come back for part 2? I know y'all want me to, but honestly, by the time I get back to it on the rotation, I've already pretty much either beat the game or ended it. So what I should do is probably stop the recording and then immediately start another recording, which is actually probably what I'm going to do here. I'm just feeling lazy. But if I do drink enough coffee, I should have the energy to do it. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. Possibly this could be part 1. I can't make any promises, but I will try to record for another couple hours and continue to go through the Godskar ways. So, because I know some of you really love my progression series. So let's just call this Godskar Seeker, Godskar Ways Seeker, or Seeker in the Godskar Ways. I think that sounds more logical. Part 1. And hopefully we'll do Seeker in the Godskar Ways Part 2. And we'll keep the series going. And I will probably place it on Sunday. We'll see. But anyway, thank you very much, folks, for coming to Dawncaster. I appreciate you. As always, some of the simple things you can do to support this channel is to like and subscribe. Double tap on that all. And one of the things you can do to support the developers, the indie developers who make my life possible, are to go to the App Store and purchase their game, buy their expansions like Eclipse, and give them 5 stars in the App Store and tell them in your ratings, hey, I saw this on Game Double Tap. So they know that I'm very serious about entertaining you and also supporting that developer. Another thing that you can do, swing by my Discord community to have a conversation if you're an expert in this game and want to chat, talk about strategy, and also visit other visually impaired content creators. That's really a good thing. And lastly, of course, but not least, you can support My Noise, which is an accessible audio scaping library of sounds and ambiances and beautiful effects, and it makes content creation wonderful. They are a very strong partner, if not my number 1 partner in accessibility. They make what I do here in this channel pleasurable, because not every game has as much beautiful sounds as Dawncaster. Not that that means that that's a bad thing. It just means that if I want to bring you to that next level of entertainment, I would like you to hear beautiful sounds. And that's where My Noise comes in. And if you want to support My Noise, buy the developer a cup of coffee, go through my description, pick up the app, purchase the app. They have some good sales, and you can pick it up for a song, so to speak. I like to use a lot of old colloquialisms. You can pick it up for very inexpensive. So wait for the sale, pick it up, and then when you have that annoying neighbor that keeps farting like me, going, hey, 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 and keeps talking to you, you can pump up your My Noise and drown them out. Hey, bosses approve of more efficient and hard-working workers. Work hard. That'll keep you always with a job. If you work hard, trust me, they'll never fire you. If you're a hard worker, you'll never be fired. So that's the key, which is a rule I should listen to. Work harder in these videos so y'all won't fire me. I really want to appreciate all of you. We've hit a 201 subscribers, which is amazing. I cannot believe we have 201 subscribers. That's awesome. In the future, I hope that is 20,000 subscribers. One day we come back and listen to this video and realize that now we've really grown and we've really expanded beyond anything we could have ever envisioned. But yes, thank you very much, folks, for coming to part 1. I'm going to go ahead and record part 2. Love you all very much. Thank you very much for coming. I got to go. Enjoy the rest of your wonderful part of the day, whatever that may be. Take care.